Netaji's broadcast from Berlin to Americans. Replica of excerpts from his broadcast. I am taking this opportunity of addressing the English-speaking countries and particularly the United States of America because of the systematic propaganda carried on by the British and pro-British agencies against the nationalists of India, against the leaders of Indian people, and against myself personally for our only trying for and demanding freedom for a nation of 388 million people. Most of the Indian leaders against whom the propaganda is directed have been locked up behind the prison walls. The people who are still out of prison and are carrying on the struggle for India's liberty find it difficult, if not impossible, to make themselves heard outside India. Consequently, it is the duty of people like myself, who happen to be at the moment beyond the reach of British police, to speak for India to the nations abroad. In this anti-India propaganda, a lot of people are contributing from England, like Sir Stafford Cripps. Mr. Bartlett is a further example of how most liberals and Democrats in England have been blinded by their passions and prejudices arising out of war. In order to justify India policy of the British government, he has been employing, whether consciously or unconsciously, the self-same arguments which the die-hard conservatives have been using for ages. He tells the world that if their people had agreed about the basis of their independence, they would have achieved it long ago. Mr. Bartlett, who I met and whom I came to know both in London and Calcutta, was a perfect gentleman. It is indeed painful to find that he should stoop to the same arguments which India's enemy number one, Mr. Winston Churchill, has been using. It is a tragedy for the British Empire that in its greatest crisis, Mr. Churchill is at the helm of affairs. At the beginning of this century, it was the arch-imperialist Lord Curzon who whipped up the nationalist pride of then slumbering Indian people, and 40 years later, the last imperialist premier of Britain has been responsible for driving the Indian people to a mad desperation by lathi blows, flogging, bombs, machine guns. British politicians of all shades of opinion of late has been concentrating their anger on Mahatma Gandhi. There is no doubt that people like myself never expected the British government to play the game with India, and that is why we wanted to start the campaign as early as 1939. But it took Mahatma Gandhi 3 years of patient waiting to be finally disillusioned about Britain's war aims. And when Britain has at last antagonized Gandhi, she antagonized the last moderates in India. And let it not be forgotten that the resolution for which he was put in prison without any trial was a resolution offering full cooperation in the war if India was granted independence at once. The Indian people have had an exceedingly difficult task in fighting such a powerful empire as that of Britain. Moreover, British propaganda reaching every corner of the world has deprived them of the sympathy which they would have otherwise received in so righteous a cause. Consequently, whenever the Indian people have received sympathy from outside, they have felt particularly grateful. Among the nations that have in the past sympathized with India's right for freedom are the people of United States of America. It was therefore greatly encouraging for the Indian people to hear the other day that 57 prominent men and women of the states have raised their voice in support of India's independence in a representation addressed to President Roosevelt. Since September 1939, the British have been going round in the world exclaiming that they are fighting to establish the reign of freedom and democracy in the world. They have been simultaneously accusing the Axis powers of everything that is vile and nefarious. President Roosevelt has now come into the picture with his Atlantic Charter, just as President Wilson had come before the world with his 14 points in 1918. The Indian people naturally ask what place they have in the Atlantic Charter on the one side and in the new order of Axis power on the other. They are particularly entitled to ask this because they represent about 1/5 of human race and because they have been duped by wily British politicians during the last war. So there is but one thought that permeates their soul of all people from Himalayas to Cape Comorin: give me liberty or give me death.